What's up, guys? We're here at AMC Town Square with Chasing Cinema.
James Shu, how are you?
.com. And this coming week, we have a lot of movies coming out. We're in 2015 already.
Yep. And you know,
Black Cat.
Still 2014 movies are still paddling their ways in. Yeah, good word. American Sniper, still outless. And then we have a few new films, and we'll be covering Black Hat and American Sniper will be our main focus.
This Thursday, by the way.
This Thursday. But my favorite part of the year is compiling that list, the top 10 films of the year. And let me tell you, I've never had to rewrite my list so many times. I had, you know, in June, I had a top 5 of what my favorite was this year far.
Did any of those make it?
2 of those made it.
Ooh.
But majority of them were bumped off. So it's really interesting to kind of see how far the year has come. And I mean, I rewrote this list and it just kept following, goes going up and up and up. And to be honest, I'm more excited to see what your list is. So before we get started, let's just shoot it out. What do you think? How many movies do you think me and you are on our list together? We have not. We don't know each other's lists.
I'm gonna say me and you will have 4 of them.
Okay, I was about to say. I think there's a decent amount. I would say at least
4 is decent.
Yeah, I would think that we have that many in common.
Yeah, I think we have about 4.
I would say 3 or 4.
I'm
so
excited
let's see.
about this.
All right. So as always, you'll go first. You'll tell me your top 10. We'll discuss, and then
the whole top 10 or just number 10?
Just number 10.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So number 10 of the year 2014. Here we go. Is How to Train Your Dragon 2. Is my number 10 favorite film of 2014. I thought the main theme song was so good to me. It was like an Enya, upbeat Enya or something like that.
Which was a remix off of the first theme song, which was great. You know, they kept that main theme song through How to Train Your Dragon 1. They brought it over and they tweaked it, and I absolutely loved it.
Gave us that nice little remix.
Yep.
And then the flying scenes.
Yes.
We were flying.
It was like Avatar.
We were with Toothless flying animated film version.
Absolutely.
It was awesome. And then the story was great.
Yep.
I think it's very heartwarming, and it did what Disney Pixar films does. It just made me feel good. You know, so How to Train Your Dragon 1 was awesome, and I loved it. And unfortunately, I didn't watch it in the theater. My buddy Ken told me, he's like, this movie's awesome, you gotta watch it. And then I watched it, I was like, oh my gosh. And then part 2 came out, and I was just blown away. I was like,
you like part 2 better than 1?
You gotta ask me that on the spot, man. I don't know.
Really?
But that's how good it is. They're both really good. And then, you know, this is probably one of the sequels where you can actually say that the sequel's maybe better than the original. Yeah, maybe. It's really good.
Something, food for thought, if you will. My number 10 is nowhere near as light or wholehearted as my number 10 is Bennett Miller's new film Foxcatcher, which is about, you know, John DuPont and his wrestling of the Schultz brothers, the team of the Schultz brothers. A film that I absolutely love because I thought it was such a, you know, there's been this really great trend kind of happening as of late. I mean, not saying that they've only been made recently, but it's the quiet thrillers. These movies that make you sit there and just wait, and you just feel like something's gonna happen, I just don't know what. And as we go through these emotional moments about these 2 characters just in search of something, one's looking for a father, one's looking for a friend and someone to really call a brother or a close friend, and then there's just an explosive ending. Everyone is just kind of waiting, and then there's this explosive ending that just kind of leaves everyone stunned. I absolutely love that movie. I thought it was well shot. I think Bennett Miller's an absolutely great storyteller. Very, I wouldn't say underrated, but not many people mention his name when it comes to that. I mean, he's the man who did Capote and Moneyball, which I both also loved. But this movie is absolutely wonderful. Steve Carell earned a Golden Globe nomination for this, and it was nominated for Best Picture in a Drama category yesterday, though it did not win either. We'll see later this week if it'll be coming out in the Academy Award nominations.
Did you feel that there was the director made him a little homosexual?
I think
Did you feel that way?
You know, it's funny you brought that up.
Did you? Yeah.
No, it's funny you brought that up. I feel, I mentioned this to Louis, because me and Louis saw this film together, and I said, you know, there was a moment in the film, especially, I mean, because that kind of, you know, guys wrestling and an older and a younger guy, that kind of mentality is just kind of floating there, I think, to anybody, but there is a specific moments in the movie where you're like, wait a minute, what's kind of happening here? And you're really not sure exactly what they're trying to leave off. I think it was kind of in the background, but I don't think it was ever a main focus or something that they wanted you to kind of get out of it. But I think it's just how, you know, the things we see in society and the things that we're kind of bred to make us think that. But I think that there is that little kind of, where is their relationship going? Because there is that really close connection, and like, you know, when they're training each other wrestling, and there's these moments where you're just like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that was what the movie was trying to say, but I totally agree that there was something there.
Well, the reason why I mentioned it is because the guy that Channing Tatum played, what's his name?
Mark Schultz.
Yeah, he's not happy right now
Yeah.
about the movie. He says, this is you, he's basically saying, no, it was not like this, and specifically that little homosexual little tendency areas in the film. I guess he's not happy with that. And he's like,
it's kind of,
it was not like that.
Well, which is kind of interesting because, you know, he was a major consultant on the film.
Yeah.
He spent a lot of time with Channing Tatum, and Channing Tatum really trained him. He didn't spend so much time with Mark Ruffalo, but I just actually watched him interview on, it was a Sports Center or Sports, one that he was talking about, you know, and then him getting in the UFC, MMA world, not necessarily UFC, but he did to be in the UFC. And he was saying that he thought everyone did really good, and he thought that Steve Carell was literally the resurrection of John DuPont, which I think, if the man who lived it says that, is really powerful.
Yeah, that movie though, it was good. And
Yeah.
like you said, like you were telling me, you didn't want to say it was a slow-paced film because you don't like saying that.
Yeah.
But it just didn't move quickly. It didn't move quickly and jump from scene to scene for sure. But yeah, I really liked it too. And
I totally agree, though it was, you know, I don't have a problem with saying something slow paced, but when people say I don't like it because it's slow, it's not really why you don't like it. You don't like it because you're not interested, because there's hundreds of movies we've seen that are slow that we do like. I do think that there's about probably 20-30 minutes that could have been cut out of that film, but I also think that at the same time, for me, that waiting and that building of like just waiting for that bomb to go off was worked better for me than it being a little bit tighter. I thought that movie should have been a little bit more like drawn out.
do you think Steve Carell's gonna be nominated for an Oscar?
You know, we were talking about this year. I think the toughest category out of everything at the Academy Awards
Male.
this year will be the best actor. I honestly believe he is nominated. Yesterday for best, you know, we had 2 categories of the Golden Globes, and I felt Michael Keaton will be nominated, and I think he'll probably be the only one from the...
Which he won the Golden Globe.
Well, he didn't win the Golden Globe. Oh yeah, he did. Michael Keaton won. Birdman did not. I'm sorry, but I think he'll be the one from that only the one from that category to move on into the best drama, where we have you know, Steve Carell, Benedict Cumberbatch, Eddie Redmayne, who won for Theory of Everything, and David Oyelowo, who was in Selma, and I think, and Jake Gyllenhaal for Nightcrawler. And I feel like if anyone's going to be dropped off that list, it'll probably be either Jake Gyllenhaal or David Oyelowo. Not that I agree with it, but I think because those movies are less spotlighted than the other films that we were talking about.
Yeah, it seems like those two don't have the hype train.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't seem like that.
I think Selma walked away with you know, the best original song yesterday. You know, we talked about it. It won the best. It was first ever Black woman to be nominated for a Golden Globe, which was awesome. But unfortunately, I feel like that movie's gonna be kind of left off the bandwagon, which I think is very unfortunate.
All right, so number 10 so far we got How to Train Your Dragon 2 by me.
In Foxcatcher.
And we have Foxcatcher, right? So that's so far our top 10. I didn't memorize my list, so I apologize.
Yeah, but you don't write it 20 times like I have to.
This is true too. Okay, so that's number 10 for 2014. Number 9 for me, Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler was so good to me, and they're saying that in LA, even still today, there's just too much paparazzi problem. TMZ isn't helping in that too much. And I loved Nightcrawler so much because Jake Gyllenhaal, he made himself look different. You know, he got really, really skinny for this film. And then Renee Russo, still banging. She's still banging, she's still hot, and I loved the character that she played, and I loved how he basically said, you're having sex with me or else you're not getting your way. And I know that's wrong to look at it like that, but in a lot of business, true, I don't see it like that. And a lot of people I work with in our company, but I hear about it all the time from different people in nightclubs. You know, I'll get you hired if you do this, and I just thought it was such a good representation of. And again, and I said this in our video.
And just really quick before you go on, if you've not listened to that, watch that video. I rewatched it over winter break. I was going over the films that I really enjoyed, and I think that was one of our best video reviews. We really got into a deep discussion about that. So if we don't get as deep, make sure to go back and watch that video review because it was really good. Go on.
No, you're fine. So, and in that video, so please, I always want to, anytime I talk about Nightcrawler and I say why I liked it, I need to say this part first. I'm not saying that this is what you need to do to become successful, but I really think that this right here, if you want to see what it takes to become successful, get ready to do that. I'm not talking about killing people. I'm just saying that you need to be able to be harsh. You need to be able to be fast. You need to be able to quote unquote step on someone's toes if you have to. And yeah, I'm not saying that I do that in business, but I am saying that I need to at least make myself look better than my competitor if I want to make money.
I think what it is that maybe in the sense that Nightcrawler is a bit exaggerated, and a lot of people have kind of argued the logicality of Nightcrawler.
Oh, the logicality, maybe, yes.
But in all honesty, I think people feel like it's a lot more fictional and foreign than it really is.
Because
and
they don't want to believe it is.
And I agree with you on that. And I think that's a really interesting thought about Nightcrawler. And I think it was one of the most thought-provoking films of the year, if not the most thought-provoking film of the year. My number 9 was, to no surprise, as me and James have already racked one together, is my number 9 film was How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Nice.
My favorite animated film of the year. I know this is going to be a really tough race this year.
Golden Globe, were you sad to see it win over Big Hero 6?
No.
Okay.
To be honest, I like How to Train Your Dragon 2 more than I like Big Hero 6, and I actually like that more than any of the nominees for Best Animated Film. There was 5 of the Golden Globes: Book of Life, Big Hero 6, Box Trolls, Train Your Dragon 2, and Lego Movie. At the Academy Awards, I think it'll only be 3. It might be 5, but I love that movie. I think that movie was, you know, I mentioned it last year about Save Mr. Banks. It's very rare when a movie just works on all levels. Score, performances, emotion, like happiness, visual aspects. And that movie just worked to me. I mean, I sat in that movie and I got more emotion. I went back and again watched a lot of my video reviews. And I cried more in that movie than I did in The Fault in Our Stars, which everyone told me they cried a lot in. But that movie has such heartfelt moments, and there's really beautiful sequences. You know, this is not a spoiler; it's in the trailer. But if you haven't seen it, you don't want to know anything about it. Hiccup is reunited with his mother, and the moment that his father sees her and they reunite, I think it's one of the most beautiful moments on film this year. I think it is the greatest. One of the greatest animated films ever made, of how amazing it looks and how texturized. Every dragon, you know, had a different feel, look. Some were hairy, some were scaly, but you could feel and you could see it and all. And I think that is unbelievably. I was totally immersed in this world of Berk, where dragons and Vikings get along, and I love that movie. And I've watched it probably more reoccurringly than every other film I've seen this year. Absolutely loved it. It was my number 2 in June. For my favorite film of the year thus far, and yeah, I'm surprised it's all the way up at 9 because I thought it was going to remain in my top 5. But that's just to show you how many great films are coming out this year. But I absolutely love that.
I love hearing Gerard Butler too.
He does such a great job in that movie. And then there are points in that movie where, you know, there are some really devastating character changes and accepting. Oh man, I mean, I could go on and on about that movie, and you know. I feel bad because it came out so long ago that people aren't as talking as much as Big Hero 6 and everything else, but that is the movie that I'm rooting for all the way. To be honest though, I feel that the Lego Movie is probably going to be, you know, I think the main runner in this race, just because of how different it is. And that was a movie I enjoyed too. But I preferred How to Train Your Dragon 2 because it hit me on such an emotional level.
I love it. Okay, so your number 9 was How to Train Your Dragon. Your number 10 was Foxcatcher. My number 10 was How to Train Your Dragon 2, and my number 9 was forgot already.
Your number 9 was Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler. Thank you, Jake Gyllenhaal. All right, we're coming down. All right, number 8. John Wick.
Ooh, okay.
Number 8, John Wick. I was excited to see this movie because I like Keanu Reeves already. Matrix, I already liked him. But man, this world that they created was fantastic.
And fun.
It was fun. And I loved how in this hotel, there's these rules that everyone goes by, except for that one girl that already broke it. But that's not the point. Everyone else that's already a bad guy goes by these rules. And even the cops. I love the scenes where Keanu Reeves just killed everybody. Cop comes up and says, "Hi, we heard some disturbance." He clearly sees people are dead, and it's just like, you're John Wick.
Yeah.
It's like John Wick is this
legend.
Superman.
He's the boogeyman.
Yeah, he is. You don't mess with John. Even the authorities don't mess with John Wick.
To correct myself, as my favorite quote in the movie, no, John Wick's not the boogeyman.
Yeah.
He's the man you hire to kill the boogeyman. I absolutely love that movie. I thought it was a blast. I thought it was what I called the Equalizer done right, because I thought it did everything that Equalizer done wrong correctly, and I thought that was a great blast. It unfortunately did not make my top 10, but that was a movie that I enjoyed, and I plan on rewatching and probably plan on buying because I had so much fun watching it.
John Wick is good.
Yeah, it was really good. It was going to be in my honorable mentions, and I knew a few critics that actually put that on their top 10 list, so you aren't far off.
I hope we get a sequel to John Wick.
Oh,
give me more John Wick, man.
I would love another John Wick. My only recommendation is just let's leave the animals alone and let's just go on with John Wick.
Okay. Oh yeah, if I had a complaint, it's like seeing that dog scene, the first one,
that was
or
tough.
there was only one, but oh man, I did not like that, man.
But now he has another dog, so they might have to bring the dog back. But great film, absolutely great film. My number 8 also has to do with animals, but not in the John Wick senses. My number 8 is The Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. My number 1 film in June, when we did our top 5 of the year thus far, film, or was it in July? Because I think it was when Dawn came out, but absolutely great movie. I loved Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I'm a huge fan of the Planet of the Apes franchise, and you know, for this movie to really focus on the apes and kind of just leave the humans in the background, and we watch this evolution of this world that they've created and how far they've come. The visuals, visual effects, I think is probably, you know, easily one of the best visual effects films. You know, a lot of people are going to say Interstellar was probably the film for visual effects this year, but I mean, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was absolutely phenomenal. Similar to How to Train Your Dragon 2 with textures and looks. I mean, you could just look at the close-ups of Caesar, and that's a real ape. Like, I mean, not literally, but I mean, you can't tell the difference because of how well designed and affected those, visually created they are.
I want to take, I know this is going to sound stupid, so just whatever. I want to take someone that's like, someone from like 1930 who doesn't watch any movies whatsoever and doesn't know really about technology, just so I can quote unquote someone made from us internationally and show them that, and they won't think. They're gonna say, how did you train the apes to do that? How do you do that? How do you get them to apes? How do you get them to do that? Because like you're saying, it's fantabulous.
And beyond it just being a spectacle to watch visually and what they've created, the story is amazing. I mean, it is more of a classic story about, you know, if a house is divided, it cannot stand. But I mean, it is a powerful story. There are some great set pieces. I mean, one of the funnest action moments of the entire film, you know, is this charge from the apes towards the humans. I thought that was an absolute blast. Sad again because animals are getting hurt, but I mean, absolutely fun. There was just so much to enjoy about that movie. It was an absolute blast, and I had the most fun watching this film. And again, I'm a huge fan, and I can't wait for the next one to come out. And Caesar, one of the greatest characters I think I've seen, you know, in cinema recently. I really love him as his character. I love his change in that really battle, the inner battle that he has to go through to the apes and the humans, because he's seen the good of humans where so many apes have not. Just absolutely well-told story, well-directed, an absolute great film. Another film I gave 4 out of 4 stars.
What I love about one of my favorite quotes of all time, William Shakespeare, there is no good or bad, but thinking makes it so.
Yes.
And if you know anyone who's hard-headed that doesn't want to listen to personal development, just bring them to see Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And as long as you're open-minded, it's like you can't even blame even the bad side. You can't blame them for being bad because
there's all reasoning. Yeah, there's reason in thinking.
Yeah, they're not just making. They didn't just make Koba. Yeah, they didn't just make Koba this bad guy who just wants to kill people.
Koba wasn't born bad.
Yeah, there's a reason why he's like this. He was beaten by the humans, and so if that's all you've been around is humans beating you, yeah, you're not gonna like humans. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And that's what's really good, because the film, though it does have antagonists and protagonists, it really kind of does it, because though Koba obviously is the instigator and the troublemaker, and he does some really poorly things, especially to his own kind, there are some real things where you could understand why he does what he does, especially watching what happens. He goes from the first film and this film, what you know, humans are doing to him, and what these apes are doing to humans, for humans to fear them and hate them. It all makes sense, and I think that was a really, really great part of the film too. Is there was no good and bad. There's just this world of understanding, and I think that's really interesting that it takes a movie about apes and humans for us to kind of think about it, but yet when it comes to humans and humans, they still don't always necessarily get that. So I think that was really interesting and a great metaphor from the film.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, so we're down to number 7. I'm gonna start over. My top 10, How to Train Your Dragon 2. My number 9, Nightcrawler. My number 8, John Wick, your number 10.
It was How to Train Your, or no, it was Foxcatcher. My number 9 was How to Train Your Dragon 2. My number 8 was Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
All good. Okay, my number 7. The Imitation Game.
Wow.
Yes, that movie, I saw it on Christmas with Kent, who's the good man that films everything for us. And I wasn't bored in that movie. And it's weird because it's one of my favorite movies of the year. Obviously, I'm saying it's number 7. And it's probably not a movie I'm not going to watch. It's probably not even a movie I'm ever going to watch again in its entirety, probably, maybe ever. You know, probably. It's just, but I enjoyed the crap out of the movie, and I loved seeing this guy. He's like, I got to build this machine because this machine's going to break this down and the code, and then the Nazis, and then the whole time I'm thinking when I'm watching the movie, wow, this happened in real life, or at least elements of it. And I wanted to mention the controversy in a minute too.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was really good, and then I think another reason why though I liked it, and I at least I can admit this, was Keira Knightley's in it. I just love Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley's great, and especially in that movie.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy too is Keira Knightley, I don't know if a lot of people know or not, she's the runway model, supermodel, you know, and it's, you know, she went from that leap to now she's all her movies aren't like idiot movies, quote unquote. She's always trying to do Oscar-worthy type of films.
Besides Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, I love
Besides
Pirates
those.
of the Caribbean. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to ask you this. So that's my number 7 choice, Imitation Game. There's some controversy. Number 1, people are saying now that Benedict Cumberbatch's character, do you remember his name?
Alan Turing.
Thank you. Alan Turing, he was open. People knew he was gay. According to the new reports within the circle, people knew he was gay, number 1. Number 2, it wasn't him that made the machine. It was all of them that did it. Versus in the movie, they really do more focus on he's the one that did it.
Yes.
And yes, he had these assistants. But according to the controversy that these people are all getting mad about he built the machine, or he didn't build the machine. It was everyone that did the machine. He was openly gay, and within the group.
Yeah.
It wasn't a secret,
Yeah.
like the movie really portrays. It was a secret. No one knew. So yeah, but other than that, Imitation Game, man, Benedict Cumberbatch was awesome. Keira Knightley was just beautiful and spectacular and fan-freaking-tastic. And I enjoyed the film a lot. I wasn't bored.
I really love The Imitation Game. Unfortunately, it was one of those films that I just kind of wrestled with while I was putting in my top 10. I really wanted to find a spot for it, but
Just couldn't
I
make
think,
the 10.
and I think, and as we talked about, I really felt that movie had such importance and things it was saying, and how what it was saying about sexuality and sexual orientation, about what kind of how our thought processes are nowadays, and how how it was treated back then, how it's treated now, and how Imitation Game, though it is his thesis and how it is about him and Christopher, it's honestly The Imitation Game.
Time out. And they were saying that's made up. His name, the machine wasn't named Christopher.
Yeah.
The machine didn't even have a name. Didn't even have that.
Well,
So, okay.
but The Imitation Game necessarily isn't really his thesis. The Imitation Game is Alan Turing imitating the straight world that he is engulfed in,
Yes.
where he does not belong, and he ends up really intimidating because he gets married and he does these things. And as far as it goes to what real reports are saying, I before this film I was not very inept to knowing about Enigma and all these things, but I know at one point the United States took credit for cracking Enigma. So I mean, you're going to hear different sides of the story always. But to me, whatever is the film sold, what I'm going to film whatever the film says, what I'm going to judge the film by. And I feel like this movie said a lot. My only criticism that kind of really struck The Imitation Game is I felt that they had a lot of important things to say about sexuality, and they just kind of put it into a text at the very end of the film when I felt it should have been a lot more emphasized. So I think that was it, but I absolutely loved the film. It was an honorable mention again. If not 10, it was 11 type thing. Great film.
It was right there.
Yeah, it was right there.
Just didn't make it.
It really was. Absolutely.
bastard
Benedict
film.
Cumberbatch was great. Absolutely great. I think Keira Knightley did great because she really showed, the overcoming of what the women should be doing and what lifestyle she should be having, and she should be a clerk. You shouldn't be, solving these things. And really, really great film. A lot of great morals, and a movie I really want people to go see because I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy it.
Yep, love it. Number 7, Chasing Cinema.
My number 7 was Gone Girl, the new film from David Fincher, starring Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike. It's one of the greatest thrillers I think I've seen in a very long time.
Been a while, my man.
A mind-blowing film that is the minute the movie starts, not a moment after, manipulation, deception are all into play. You don't know what to believe. I talked about this in our video review. Narration, I think, is one of the most underused or underrated arts in filmmaking. You know, I always think back to Savages, which had Blake Lively doing a terrible, unnecessary, just horrible narration. But then in a film like this, narration is not only an element, it is a character, and it really kind of makes us lead one way and guides us through this story. And for, you know, narration is really, really important in this film, and I absolutely love the narration, especially when it splits in the middle. We have Ben Affleck telling the story, we have Rosamund Pike telling the story. And wow, what a performance by Rosamund Pike! I mean, absolutely phenomenal.
Were you sad to see her not win Golden Globes last night?
You know, it's just tough competition. I mean, these are categories, you know, that I'm not really hurt or anything, because I know how they're so, you know, it's just really cutthroat right now. But I believe she deserves that nomination. I think nominations are as good as I'm going to feel right now. As if you get a nomination, I think you deserved it. But winning is really neck to neck. And I'm one of the biggest Ben Affleck fans that are out there and supporter. And you know, I think she outshined Ben Affleck easily in that movie. But what a great thriller! What a fun ride! Like, you know, as dark and scary as it gets, it's absolutely just fun. And it's a great film that you'll be thinking about and talking about way after the credits. I've had people tweet me and write me on Facebook, still talking about Gone Girl, still what happened and their opinions and what I feel, and you know. Absolutely great film. I absolutely love that movie. Neil Patrick Harris, Tyler Perry, everyone in that movie was just great and really carried their weight. David Fincher did a great job at directing that picture. Absolutely fun, great thriller.
You know how in Breaking Bad we have Forget About Saul? No, the new show.
Yeah.
Call it Saul, Kent?
Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul. Yeah, you have Better Call Saul. I would love, and I'm not just saying this either, a David Fincher spin-off about him being a lawyer, because he's an awesome.
Tyler Perry? Yeah.
Or sorry, who did I say? David Fincher.
No.
Like, Tyler Perry's character was awesome.
Yeah.
Like anyone who said he doesn't have acting chops, anyone who says just wear a dress, anyone says anything like that, if they watch that movie and just go with it open mind, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
He gets
no,
street
absolutely.
cred.
And I think he's great, and you know, and he's a very smart businessman too in reality. So I've always
he's like worth $200 million
at one point in time, he was the most, you know, the biggest incoming actor that they or Hollywood celebrity there was.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a different story. But in this movie, he's great, and I totally agree that would be really cool. And you know, David Fincher is amazing, and you know, it's so funny because I was thinking about his work with House of Cards, which you know he did with Netflix.
Did you see the trailer?
Yes. Which I'm even so excited for. But I mean,
my gosh, dude!
You know, you watch that and you watch Gone Girl, and you're
Ken,
like,
did you
man,
watch the trailer?
This guy really knows how to make a dark, terrifying story really beautiful, and that's a really great knack, especially the director. I mean, no, this is not new though. David Fincher has been a great director for, you know, since Seven and even before that. Absolutely great filmmaker. Absolutely loved it. I think he deserves a nomination.
I don't know if you saw it, but if you go to YouTube and put in how to make David Fincher movies, or every David Fincher scene in every movie or something like that, so someone takes all the scenes of what he's known for doing, with the walk scene and the sliding scene, and it's so cool because after I watched that, and then I watched How to Train a Dragon, the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yeah.
Sorry, other dragon. The girl with the dragon tattoo,
Yes.
and then Gone Girl. It's so awesome because he uses that same score always.
Yes.
Not the same, but that style of music.
Narration, yeah.
Trent Reznor.
Yeah,
I think Trent Reznor.
I'm not 100% sure on that.
I'm not either. So forgive me. And yeah,
Forgive
anyway,
me.
But it's
Forgive
awesome.
me, more importantly.
It's awesome.
And you know, and that was a really big film. I think it was 2-3 years ago. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Give me part 2 and 3, man.
But I think that part of that movie is because it didn't really hit as much as it should have. A lot of people didn't connect with that movie. A lot of people didn't. I mean, how do you feel about that movie?
I love it.
See, I like that film, but I feel like Gone Girl is a tenfold better film.
That's fine. That means that the girl with the hornet's nest, I think it's what it's called, is gonna be better.
Well, we'll see. I think that, you know, there's been a quite interesting debate about that movie and Gone Girl and how people feel about Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I liked it, but
I love mysteries.
I hear you, but that Gone Girl is gonna make my number 7 as just an absolute.
Let me ask you this last part on Gone Girl. Whose baby is it?
I think I've talked about this numerous times.
But now you
not a film, yeah.
and now you really thought about it.
Well, I've stuck with my thinking.
And you've had other people put stuff into your head.
Yes.
Whose baby?
It's Ben Affleck's baby.
So she did just take the Frozen.
Yes.
And
I know that she's a liar, but I mean, I think that kind of the debate for Neil Patrick Harris is a little bit just stretching. We've talked about it. I'm not an expert when it comes to how things work in reality, but I'm assuming if someone is, raped and has I don't want to get too graphic in this video, but I think that there are steps taken. I think she's smarter than that. I think that for someone like him,
because the cops, she says she got raped. So the cops would have made sure.
Yeah, I think cops in the hospital would have been able to, she'd been able to make decisions and stuff.
What about the scene though when she has the blood on her in the hospital still? It's like, come on, they would have washed that off already.
Not even the hospital. She goes home like that. That part was really odd. But I mean, overall, that movie. I mean, I was watching the movie and I was like, and I heard that after, and afterwards you're like, oh yeah. But when you're watching, you're just like, oh my god, and just the chemistry they share. Though they're never really in the same scene together. I mean, they are in a few. Their chemistry is unbelievable. There's a scene when, he's on television and their chemistry is hitting, oh my god. It's just great filmmaking.
Yeah, and I love watching her reactions as he's doing it. She's like, oh, you bastard. Oh, yeah. You did it again.
Yep.
I got him that time.
Absolutely great.
And it really shows two people who just know how to manipulate each other and how to piss each other off. And I said this already, and I know I don't mean it like this, but it's just how I said it. Gone Girl, man, that movie is just a very, very, and I'm basing this off of, I speak to a lot of people, I know a lot of people,
yes.
They're basing that movie off of people, man. That is, I'm not saying that people kill it, but that is how people are. Once you get stuck in something, people don't want change, even if it drives you insane. So for anyone who says, oh, that's just all movies, da-da-da, it's like, not really, dude. Not really.
I think it comes down to people just like to think things are a lot more fictional and fun than it really is.
It ain't, dude.
I don't know. It's insane, but I just think the movie is fun. I don't know about real life. I don't know about all that. I've unfortunately never met a Rosamund Pike, so.
No, but if you hear me talk about all the movies I like, I'm always saying something like, oh, it's because it's like in real life.
Yeah, but I think and at the same time, it's true because these movies just don't pop out of thin air. There are elements in filmmaking where people have gotten ideas from reality, and I'm not saying that the writer of this, Gillian Flynn, was like, oh, I read about this. She used a lot of creative elements, but you think about what we see on the news, you think about the stories we hear, from whatever news outlet we follow. You put a few of them together and you have an incredibly insane crime story like Gone Girl. So, I don't think people should really be surprised at this story.
I loved it.
I did too.
I loved it. I loved it so much. Gone Girl, man.
Yes.
Yeah, anyone who's skeptical about that flick, dude.
Don't be.
Dude. All right. That's number 7.
So you're number 6.
Number 6, my man. Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Okay.
Number 6. All right, so Marvel has been doing this for 10 years now. You could have been skeptical at Iron Man. That movie came out, people were like, oh, that was pretty fun. If it's comic book superhero. And they've completely changed the game.
Yep.
Marvel Disney has completely changed the game where everyone loves these films. And then now, because there's so many of them, people feel, we're gonna start getting too many of them, and we're gonna start getting used to them. And then here we go again now, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. They took the elements of spy, they took the elements of espionage, they took that and put it into a superhero film in the year 2014.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Captain America, for the Phase 1 films, for Phase 1 Marvel, I can say very clearly that Captain America, the first one, was my favorite film. I loved it. And I'm gonna say this, and as you get to know me better, you'll know, like, I love Imitation Game because it was a good movie, but mostly because I always like Keira Knightley.
Yes.
But I loved Captain America because I love Haley Atwell, and I'm so glad she has her own show, Agent Carter, which I haven't seen yet, but I'm going to. So with Haley Atwell, and then in part 2, Winter Soldier, Scarlett Johansson, she was even more banging than she already is, and she's banging. And then Chris Evans, even more banging than he already is. And the story was awesome. And the whole time I was watching The Winter Soldier, I wasn't bored at all. I was just in the movie, just watching it, enjoying it, I wasn't eating popcorn, but if I had popcorn, I would have been loving it the whole time. And it's just amazing what Kevin Feige and team has done with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and giving me my number 6 film of the year for 2014, Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
I don't think Captain America, Winter Soldier is a bad movie by any means. I thought it was a really great movie. I thought it was a solid addition to the Marvel Universe. I 100% 100% agree with you, and Marvel has changed the game. They have literally changed the way that we watch movies. They could go beyond the 2-hour story mark and create a universe and all these things. But Captain America Winter Soldier, I thought was a film that I enjoyed, but it didn't really stick with me throughout the year. It's kind of floated in the back of my mind, and I've honestly kind of forgotten about it since. The only thing I really solidly remember are the fighting sequences. They had some of the greatest fighting sequences that I've seen in recent filmmaking.
Anything.
I mean, when they're on that highway in Captain America and it's just hand-to-hand combat, absolutely stunning fighting. I mean, it was just so exciting in those moments that I had to pick up my jaw off the floor.
What about the boat, when they're on the boat at the very beginning of the movie and he fights the wrestler?
No, I forgot which wrestler it was now.
You're supposed to know that.
I know, but I can't. Was it Kevin Nash?
No. It was Ken, do you know his name?
Nope.
The famous wrestler. He's a famous, or not wrestler, famous UFC dude. Also,
George St. Pierre.
Thank you. Yeah, that scene.
You said wrestler.
Sorry. And then when he says, "I thought you were more than a man with a shield."
Yeah.
And then he puts that shield down and freaking.
No, I thought the action sequences were absolutely great in this movie, but like I said, some movies just gonna click with you, some movies aren't just gonna hit you in that zone. And that was a film I saw twice, which isn't. I don't want to say
That
rare
alone
for
shows
me.
how good it is, though.
Well, not necessarily, because I
enough.
wasn't like, hey, let's go see. My girlfriend's like, I want to go see Captain America. I'm like, oh. All right, the
one of
night
those.
after. But she really enjoyed it, and I think it was very fun. I think it was a great addition. But I just think it's a tough year, tough competition, and there's just so many great films that it didn't make my list.
There's this guy, can't you like this? There's this guy who took every movie of Phase 1, he took every movie of Phase 2. And if someone says, oh, well, how do you watch this in order? He will give you the exact timestamps of where to take Iron Man Part 1, take second 0 to 5 minutes in, put that there. Then take Captain America Part 1, which happened in the 1940s or 50s, and put that part right before that. And then watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., put that there. So you can watch the entire Phase 1.
Oh, he's done it, or he told you how to
did
do it? Okay.
And then he tells you how to do it too. So you can watch all of Phase 1 and all of Phase 2 outside of Age of Ultron, all in the order you're supposed to so it all makes sense as the
Honestly,
universe.
I think that would be a genius thing for Marvel to do, is to hire that man, put them all together, and sell them as a Blu-ray.
Yes, that would, I don't have the patience. I could get the films. I could get all the films. So I don't have the patience to do that.
I can do it myself. I would need someone to put it together for me.
But yes, if that was available where you could watch that in phases, the way that it's supposed to be, boom.
I know it's nowhere near in size of comparison, but there was a director's cut of Sin City, the first Sin City film, which I really enjoyed, and there was a 2-disc pack where you could buy them as they were told in cutting up sequences and together in the individual stories, and I really, really enjoyed that. I thought that was a really awesome way to watch a film, and it kind of, though it didn't change stories and plot A to B, but it really changed how the film felt. I think that'd be a really interesting watch, and I think they should probably look into someone doing that. So Marvel and Disney, if you're watching, because I know you are.
Yeah, I do too. They take all the shorts too, everything. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the shorts, the movies,
TV,
everything, and he spliced it all up. So if you watch it the way he tells you in order, it literally is the entire film going.
And just for the sake of just mentioning it, the one thing I get a lot of arguments on, still to this day, is that I think Iron Man 3 is still my favorite superhero movie. Excluding the Batman movies, I still love Iron Man 3. I have a great time in that movie. I actually just rewatched it the other day. It's a lot of fun. I get a kick out of that movie.
That's so crazy. And I know film is subjective, but Jesus.
Kind of.
I can't stand Part 3.
I like Part 3. I have a really
Part
good
3
time.
was one of the worst Marvel MCU movies.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm not just saying that to say that.
Well, that's an argument for another day.
But then again, I also am the guy that loves Captain America, so.
All right, so my number 6 isn't something that we haven't spoken to recently. It was actually Selma, the movie that we reviewed just a few days ago.
I need to see that. I didn't see that, guys.
Again, it's a film that I've been talking about so much since it's come out because I want people to go see it. It just got here 3 days ago as we were here at the movie theaters on Thursday. And that's Ava DuVernay's film, who I thought did absolutely amazing. She, as a director, a young black woman to direct a movie like this that really says something, I think is important. And as we sit here and we talk about movies that entertain us or touch us, there are certain films that really can go beyond the theater and beyond being just a movie or having movie themes that really say something and make us go, wow, is that how it kind of is? And they really force us to look at ourselves in the mirror. And that's the movie kind of Selma is. Common won Best Original Song yesterday at the Golden Globes, and he said some really powerful things that I think really are a great way to describe the film, where he said, you know, Selma is now, which I think couldn't be farther from the truth, and that in that movie, being a part of that movie, it awakened his humanity, which might be a little bit, you know, a little bit too poetic in a sense, but I think it's a really, really great statement, because watching that movie, you kind of really, you know, say, wow, you know, and for most people, they say, well, why would I watch a movie about things that happened 50 years ago, which it's kind of happening right now.
Because we haven't changed. We as humans don't grow up and we're going to end up killing ourselves, according to Stephen Hawking, because we don't want to move on other than fighting each other.
And to be so blunt, James is right. I mean, at a time when trending things are, you know, we have trending phrases like Black Lives Matter and Cops Life Matter, and we have that friction between a race and a branch of society. It's really incredible and quite mind-blowing to think about that. You know, again, we're not political people. I'm not a person who kind of goes and mentions my politics or spews what I believe, because I want you to be able to, whoever to watch this and enjoy it. But I think that anyone who really keeps their eyes open can't deny that though we have come such a way, we're still in a very similar predicament.
No, it's like when they say, when a girl, it's typically a girl that says, "Oh, you're real mature," because us guys are acting stupid, and it's like, it's true, because no matter how old we are, and I'm talking about male and female, we're all immature still.
Yeah, and someone who's like, "You're immature," that's immature.
That's the worst thing you can say.
Exactly.
But to piggyback on that, on the immature thing, is like, gosh, if you look at all these things with sitting in the back of the bus, we care the color you are, we care where you sit. We care if you like a guy. We care if you like a girl. It's like, we don't grow. Like we're still the same people.
It's really, really kind of scary that it's still so much of what we want other people to do. 50 years later, in 2014,
God,
there are people still essentially delegating what people do with their lives, and that's really kind of scary. You know, there's been a huge amount of tragedies about censorship and being able to express yourself and being who you are, and you know, it honestly scares me, and I think that's why I spend so much time in movies, because I'm just like, my God, that just bothers me so much, and I think that's why people need to see Selma, because maybe the person who says, oh, it's this or it's that, it's just one way, it's black or white, it's not gray, you know, I think this movie might be able to really open their eyes, and not just for that thematical sense, that movie's well acted, well directed, and especially well edited. To go such a long period of time and put it in that like 2-hour scope, absolutely great filmmaking. The ensemble cast of Giovanni Ribisi, who's one of my favorite character actors. Tom Wilkinson.
He was scary in Ted.
Oh, he's great in this movie. Great. Tim Roth, Tom Wilkinson, David Oyelowo, who I think
Martin Luther.
He plays Martin Luther King Jr., who does what Martin Luther King Jr. For Martin Luther King Jr., what Daniel Lewis did for Lincoln. Absolutely phenomenal, and really brings that and really embodies that character. And phenomenal performances. One of my, again, I really care when a movie says something, and I heard it loud and clear, and I want people to hear it, and I want people to hear what she has to say, because she has something very important to say. Go see Selma.
It's so sad too, because it doesn't seem like they have any wood behind the train. It seems like they don't have any nitrous behind the exhaust. Is that a correct term? Nitrous behind the exhaust?
Sure.
Yeah, there's no steam, and it seems like
I
it's
know,
like.
I hear you.
And I haven't seen it myself, and I will.
And especially a film produced by Oprah, and a movie that Oprah is in, it's quite shocking that it hasn't been so like. But maybe
a lot of people say it's because she doesn't have her own show anymore, but she owns her own network. But her show itself isn't as popular as it once was. But that's neither here nor there. The last part on this part. One of the most things I heard 14 years ago, my mentor on stage said, and at the time it was funny to me, he said, people don't want to change, and if you don't change, the only change you'll have is a change in your pocket. When people don't want to change, if you don't want to change, the only
say that slower for our viewers.
My mentor said, people don't change, and if you want to change, then you have to change, because people don't change, and if you don't change, the only change you'll have is a change in your pocket. Woo! Right? And the first time I ever heard that, I was like, oh, how clever, he used the word change.
Like 5 times, yeah.
I was like, that's so clever, and God, it's so true. Like, people, they don't want to change. We have bad habits. We have habits in general, good or bad, it's up to you.
Yeah.
And we don't want to change, and as a group of society as a whole, I know this is about movies, but as a society as a whole, we don't want to change.
Yeah, no.
Doesn't matter how old we are, we will always be the same.
And I think when we have films like Selma and The Imitation Game,
hopefully can slap us.
And more films, a lot of people just kind of regard them as movies, and to someone who really watches them and whose my life has been influenced by movies I've seen, and some people can say
Every
the same.
week.
And some people can say the same, and some people can't. But these are the movies that I feel are important, and maybe these are the movies that we show. 12 Years a Slave had an amazing, incredible impact on me. If these are the movies that we show people, in time as we keep making them, maybe ways that we've been trying to show people certain things they won't get, maybe they'll get it this way. And that's a hope movies have, and that's why I love doing what I do. I think that's what was really amazing about 2014 is the movies that I watched this year, which was started really bumpy. 2014 was really unsure, and it became a year that really validated and reminded me why I wanted to be a movie critic, but not only a critic, but why I'm a movie lover. And I think that's what was so amazing about this year.
I was with a friend, and I was telling them I watch about 80 movies a year, and then they were like, I shocked them. I said, "You think that's a lot?" My friend, I was talking about you, can watch up to 8 a week.
Yeah.
And then it didn't even make sense. And they're like, "Don't you ever get tired of watching movies?" Because it was a Christmas dinner camp with Lingo, and he was saying because most of them suck. And then at the time I said no, but then it was funny because when we were writing our top 10, I was on IMDb's movies that came out, and I was like, wow, I haven't seen 90% of the films listed for 2014, and the ones I did see, I was like, yeah, that wasn't that good. Yeah, that wasn't that good, I guess. That wasn't that good, I guess. And then. But yeah, that's why I love film too, is because I don't get sick of this, because every movie I watch, I think I say it was good because at the time, because I'm learning something from it.
Yeah.
I'm not watching it for pure entertainment, which I am doing that too, but I'm actually learning something from it. No matter how bad the movie is, I'm gonna learn something from 50 Shades of Grey. Just saying. Right? But anyway,
Maybe.
I'm always gonna learn things,
Yeah.
And that's why I love film for that reason too.
And the thing is, it's just, as we are getting farther and farther off topic, it's true.
It's our show.
And absolutely, we get to run it. I'm the producer. We're the producers. And each movie has something different to say, and to say that and like you said, 80. You think that gentleman thinks 80 movies are a week. People think 80 movies are a lot a week, but there are people who watch dozens more. And no matter how many I watch a week, no matter how many hours I try to stay up, I'll never be able to watch everything. And that's what's amazing, is that there's that one movie that I might not have seen that I decided not watch, and that might have said something that could really impact you. That's why I always tell people when they ask me, what should I go see? Go see something that you wouldn't normally see. Go see something foreign. Go see a documentary that might change the way you think. Go see something and learn something from it. Leave that comfort zone. Leave the Transformers taken comfort zone that so many people are in. And not that I'm saying it's a bad thing, but that is obviously that's what makes money. That's what people are comfort zone in. That movie makes money. Movies like Selma and Boyhood don't make nearly that much. Go see something different.
God,
and really
killed it yesterday.
It did.
They killed it.
Go open that door
Slapped
and just see
everybody.
what's there, because not opening your mind to different things is exactly the problem most people have with life in general. Is not trying and not going and trying to see what else is out there. I mean, if you're not trying and testing and seeing new things and learning new experiences, you're not living, in my opinion. And when it comes down to, for most people, it's traveling and going through. For me, it's watching movies that I would honestly never really watch. It's watching that movie I never heard of on Netflix. It's watching that film from Sweden or Poland, like Ida, a movie that a black and white Polish film about a nun, which to some people sounds like what they would call boring. Absolutely great film. And I just dare you to watch something. If you get anything out of this video, is just go watch something that you wouldn't normally watch. It might be bad, it might be good, but at least you've gone out of that place and seen something. And it kind of goes back to the conversation I get all the time. And I say, I don't remember who said it, unfortunately, but someone said it so amazing last night. The big movies are doing fine. Taking and Transformers don't need your help. It's the smaller movies that need an audience. Good movies aren't extinct. They just are getting harder to find. But if you open your horizons and you open your mind, amazing. Because most people go, I've never even heard of the movies they were talking about last night. Well, it's because you haven't gone and tried to see them.
They're like, how come
these
there's no Transformers 4 Age of Extinction?
And I'm not trying to make fun of people, but it's because you're not going out and seeing them. And that's the only thing that can really drive you. And that's why I do what I do, is I'm hoping maybe you're on my website to read my review of The Wedding Ringer, and you stumble upon my review of someone and say, wow, maybe I should go see that. And if I could do that, and that movie impacts you in the way that I've had films impact me, I've known I could feel good and go to sleep at night knowing I've done something right with my career.
I never thought I would watch, let alone a movie a week. I never thought I would do that. And so there's a lot of weeks where I'm like, I don't want to go, but me and Ken go anyway.
Yeah.
And then I watch the movie, I'm just like this. Wow.
Wow.
I'm so glad I watched that.
That's George Clooney. George Clooney said that. Oh, George Clooney.
Oh,
thank
you know the Tina Fey and Amy Poehler part where they talked about George Clooney.
Yes,
They're like,
and his wife?
you just married your wife who's done save the world,
Yep.
and then her husband is being the
Which is also very true.
no, and then they were like freaking Hollywood, and it's so true.
It is very
Oh my
true.
gosh, we're like this woman over here who's gorgeous.
Civil rights, defending people who really need to be their lives saved, and we're giving the man who's, you know.
That had bat nipples.
But you know, at the same time, it's true. You know, I mean, but I'm not. I also can't discredit George Clooney, obviously, because I think he has done very important films, absolutely great films, and that's
Batman and Robin.
which they didn't mention or show a clip of.
I wonder why. It's so strange.
I was so bummed. Oh man.
All right, so let's recap. You're
okay.
10 through 6.
Foxcatcher, How to Train Your Dragon 2, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Gone Girl, and Soma.
Could be a dumb question. Your number 10 again?
Foxcatcher.
How many stars out of 4?
I didn't review that film, but I would have probably given that film 4 out of 4 stars.
So are all your top 10 all 4 out of 4? Because that's why it's up there at the top?
Oh, I didn't review every single one, but I believe so.
That's awesome.
Because there are films that I've gone back and rewatched. The films that were in my category, I actually went back and rewatched most of them, the ones that were available to validate. And though I might not have given them 4 out of 4 at the moment, it probably have become a 4 and 4 because it's been on my mind or I've been thinking about it so much. But Some was 4 out of 4, Gone Girl was 4 out of 4, How to Train Your Dragon 2 is 4 out of 4, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was 4 out of 4. I didn't review Foxcatcher, but I probably would have gave that film a 3.5, 4 out of 4. And then we'll see about the other ones.
We will. All right, and then my recap: How to Train Your Dragon 2, number 10. Number 9, Nightcrawler. Number 8, John Wick. Number 7, Imitation Game. Number 6, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. All right, now my number 5.
Yes.
All right, my number 5 you've already mentioned. Gone Girl,
Okay.
Ben Affleck.
Awesome.
That movie was, I know we talked about it, it was just so much fun. We don't need to talk about it again. It was just,
Yeah.
that movie was so much fun for me. Number 5 movie of the year was Gone Girl. 2.5 hours, I've already watched it over and over. I can have, and this isn't even a movie you have playing in the background, but I have it playing in the background. It's so freaking darn entertaining.
My number 5, speaking of going out of your comfort zone and watching something different, is a film from Australia. But, and it's by...
Was that an Australian accent? that you
No,
threw? Oh.
Australia.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I don't know. I hear that I have an accent sometimes. She's from Australia, the director, Jennifer Kent. It's her first major picture.
Her last name's Kent?
Kent. Jennifer Kent.
Love it.
Barely had a financed film, very, very low budget. And she made what I think is one of the greatest horror films I've seen
Oh, you mentioned
ever.
this.
And that is The Babadook. And I'm not the
Can't
old,
get that movie for us.
The Babadook. And I don't think it's film that
Babadook.
would have gotten a lot of credit, but some people have seen it and loved it. That it's, most people I would have never expected to even hear about an Australian horror film that was made in low budget would be talking about.
Is it more low budget than Saw 1?
Off the top of my head, I don't know exactly. I want to say it's around the same place, around 30,000, but I'm not 100%
But it's
sure on
low
that.
budget.
I think she was financed a little bit more at one point in time, but it's fairly low budget, at least especially compared to what most movies are. Yeah, and and it movie I don't think would have got anywhere publicity, but however, in the UK, one of the most popular critics is Mark Kermode, #1 film. A very popular, numerous critics out here, #1 film.
Wow.
And
Babadook.
and I think that's incredible by saying something. William Friedkin, the man who directed The Exorcist, the movie that is claimed to be the scariest movie of all time, has named Babadook the scariest movie he's ever seen.
Dude, that's strong.
Now to kind of go against that, a lot of people who have seen it said, no, I don't think it's that scary. And I probably agree with them. I find it a lot more creepy and hair-raising and more than actually scary. The movie did scare me though. I watched it by myself in my room and at night when I was in bed in the dark, and I was freaked out. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I don't like the dark in the first place, so I was already in a bad setting. But I think people watch it and say, well, that wasn't so scary. But
Poor
the thing
Samantha.
is, Samantha won't watch it. She's afraid.
She won't even watch it.
She won't watch it. She's afraid. Also because there's one animal part, but
Like John Wick animal type?
very similar.
Ah.
No spoiler mentioned. Meant. But moving on, the fact that I loved it so much, not because I'm just saying a horror film has to be that scary. but a horror film that tells a story, that has interesting characters, that I'm just like, well, that's gonna die first, she'll die, oh, that'll be the one that'll live, that's Archangel, that I'm just waiting to be cut off.
Are you basing that off of color? Asian, white, black?
No. No, but I'm just saying you could usually tell who's gonna get killed off, who's gonna be that surviving woman, who's gonna be the Archangel in a film. But this movie is a really, if you cut out the supernatural aspect of this film, the Babadook, oh my god, it's a funny name until you hear the Babadook say it, and it's terrifying. It's a great film. It's a really, really, really great film about a mom and her son. The mom whose husband died, and she's raising this child who is just having trouble. Understandably, she has a mom who's kind of not really been there since her husband has died. She's kind of out there and a little bit lost and not being able to finally regain. There's a scene in the very beginning where her son hugs her and she yells at him and says, "Get off me." And you can just kind of tell how emotionally disconnected she is. And their interactions and their chemistry is absolutely phenomenal. This woman does such an amazing job in their performance. I can't remember the name for the life of me right now, which is killing me because she deserves to be mentioned. But I mean, a very powerful movie. And then we have the aspect of the Babadook, which is creepy and unlike something we've really seen in the States. There are similar elements, but it's just so simple. It's a character out of a children's book. And it is the most horrifying children's book you'll ever read.
Can't see this.
But I mean, it's absolutely great. And I will argue with anybody that is one of the greatest horror films ever made because of how it doesn't just focus on being scary, but it focuses on being a good film.
And the ending surprised you?
The ending? I wouldn't say necessarily surprised me. No, it's not that type of movie. It does have a strange ending, and some people were kind of put off by the ending. I didn't so much, because the movie, I mean, I don't want to get to that point where I'm like being a theorist here, but the film is overall about grief. The Babadook, this supernatural being, is essentially a metaphor for how people deal with grief. And when you watch the ending, maybe you'll understand that. If not, I'm just saying in general, most people.
I'm gonna have to watch this actually. Scare the crap out of her.
And then I'll come over and we'll talk about it.
And bring Samantha.
Yeah. And but and it's also a great thing about this movie is when there are horror movies where you can argue, is this supernatural thing really happening, or is this just in our main character's mind? And I think that's what also really makes Babadook an amazing movie, is because you could go through and say, well, this is all happening, but you could also go through and say, is she hallucinating? Is she lost it? And I think that's what makes it so powerful. Absolutely great horror film. I recommend everyone to go see it. I bought this movie back and forth, what's really amazing is, for the first time, I don't have such a clear thing. Is in my list 1 through 5, you could mix up,
and you wouldn't be mad.
And I wouldn't be mad. I think that I have a solid list, but I honestly wouldn't be mad if you put Babadook at my number 1, because that's how great of an impact the film was. Yeah.
Babadook.
Yeah, at number 5.
How was that movie?
Not long, like an hour 45 minutes. That movie's it, man. Dude, great film, has great themes. Wow, powerful.
Babadook. All right,
Babadook.
I'm gonna do my 10 through 5.
Yes.
Number 10, How to Train Your Dragon 2. That was a fantabulous movie. Number 9, Nightcrawler. Number 8, John Wicky. Number 7, The Imitation Game. Number 6, Captain America, The Winter Soldier. And my number 5 film of the year, 2014, Gone Girl.
My number 10 was Foxcatcher. My number 9 was How to Train Your Dragon 2. Mm-hmm. My number 8 was Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. My number 7 was Gone Girl. My number 6 was Selma. And my number 5 was The Babadook.
Babadook. God,
number 4, sir.
And my number 4. Guardians of the Galaxy. That was what that was supposed to be.
No, I heard it, but for a second I was like,
we had a feeling. Okay, Guardians of the Galaxy. Marvel Cinematic Universe again, man. So they came out with these films that are quote unquote people know of. I know it's not MCU, but people know Spider-Man. People are kind of aware of Iron Man. People were kind of aware of Captain America. People were kind of aware of Thor. Ain't no one was aware of Guardians of the Galaxy, and they said, we're gonna take a talking raccoon and a talking tree, and we're gonna make this into a film. And not only are people gonna like it, they're gonna love it. To the number 2 film of the year, highest grossing film in the US domestic for 2014. That was just beat out by Hunger Games, Move Forward. And they did it, and that movie was so much fun. It's not scary, it's not a thriller, it's just fun. And and I know this might be a bad comparison, but I don't care. I finally understand, and you already know what I'm gonna say, but I finally understand why people love Star Wars so much. People said, you didn't grow up with it, you don't understand. Star Wars was this, Star Wars was that, it's a space opera, it's this. And I watched Guardians of the Galaxy with you at a premiere screening with
Press screening,
with the press screening. And yeah, man, I was immersed. Peter Quill, Chris Pratt, yeah, he's gonna be big time. Jurassic World this coming year, he's gonna be big time.
I hope so.
No, I think he's gonna be big time, dude.
I think he'll be big time. I just don't know how good Jurassic World's gonna be.
That's fair. Yeah, Chris Pratt was awesome. Zoe Saldana, she's like the queen of sci-fi. Avatar, Guardians of the Galaxy.
I love Zoe Saldana. She's a great actress.
And she's beautiful, and she looks good in any color. Blue, green. Batista, who's not even an actor, was fun. They utilized him well. They didn't try to make him this great actor. They just gave him lines and how he needs to react to these lines so well. It was awesome. Rocket Raccoon, Bradley Cooper. I mean, Bradley Cooper's very awesome, but it wasn't that Bradley Cooper's voiceover was great. Is that called voiceover? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wasn't that the voiceover was great, even though it was. It was more of the personality that the director, James Gunn, it was the personality and the writers, what they made Rocket Raccoon that I loved. And then that scene at the end when he's holding Groot, I wanted to just start. It's just, because for me, again, real life, there just aren't, in the year 2014, I don't mean this to sound rude.
You just walk around just
right? Yeah, I don't want to sound rude when I say this, but there's not a lot of people out there that have real friends. There aren't. And in that movie, what a great movie to show kids. That's how you should be with friends. You stick by them. And
excuse me.
Because so many people I'm around, and especially in business, and we talked about Nightcrawler, they're not like that. They will stab you in the back, and they will do whatever they have to do. There aren't a lot of people that can say I have genuinely good friends, you know. And like I feel that way about Ken. I feel that way about you. I feel that way about a couple of other my friends. I can't even say a lot of. I can't even say a lot of other people.
No, I really agree
because. Not because they're not good people, it's just because there's only certain people that you want to be around with, and not that you don't even want to be around, you hang around with all the time.
And that you know are actually dependable and that will be there for you and not, you know, expect anything in return. I agree with you. You know, I grew up always hearing that, you know, if you have this many people in your life that care about you and will drop everything for you, you're all set. And
even one hand.
Even one
one hand.
You know, if you get one-handed.
So yeah, Bradley Cooper as Rocket Raccoon, and then Groot. Vin Diesel. Watch on YouTube. Vin Diesel saying "I am Groot" in 100 different languages or whatever. It's awesome.
I haven't watched that.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I loved how every line was "I am Groot," but the line was Rocket Raccoon asked you this, or Peter Quill asked you this, and so he's actually answering it, but he's saying it in a different tone. And so that's the actors. The movie itself, though, was so much fun for me. Visually, I thought it was an awesome, beautiful, sexy movie. It was fun. It was fast-paced. There was nothing about the movie. I was just like, oh, okay, come on, can we move forward? The soundtrack did it over the top. Was awesome. Number 5 film of the year 2014, Guardians of the Galaxy, baby.
Number 4.
Number 4, baby.
Or number 5. No, your number 5 was Gone Girl.
So number 4, baby, Guardians of the Galaxy.
I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy too. I loved it. I thought it was fun. But to me, it was just a year where there's, and the thing is just that it was a year where this probably would have been on my list otherwise, but there was just so many other great films. But a great movie. I think one of Marvel's best films, easily one of the best films that they've done, because it was something that people weren't aware of. They took it, they ran with it, they went a certain way, and they had a blast with it, and more power to them for that. Soundtrack, the chemistry between the raccoon and Groot, absolutely awesome. And like you said, a great space opera. The science fiction visual effects were awesome. Just a really great movie. You want a good time, pop in that film.
You're not going to be mad?
It's a movie that unfortunately that I've yet to rewatch and to kind of re-experience, and it's one that I'm really looking forward to enjoying again. My number film is a movie that I watched.
My number 4 film.
My number 4 film is a movie that I thankfully watched just in the nick of time before my top 10 was due. I was really worried that I wasn't going to be able to watch this film, but I'm so glad I did, because as I said, you mix these up, I'm not mad. That's how good of a film it is. And that is the new film, Whiplash.
I want to see that so bad.
You especially, I think, will love it. Because
bad.
What you're saying? Passionate, motivated, every day. You don't remember that?
I don't remember. Moving on, move forward very quickly.
I've never seen a movie about passion like I have in Whiplash. There's movies where passionate people, they have that dream. And you know, how do we see passion portrayed in film? 99% of the time it's sports movies, you know, which I'm not knocking, but there's a particular reason why this movie about a jazz drummer works 10 times more, because you want to talk about blood, sweat, and tears, that's everything our main character goes through. A main character who, to just show you how good this movie must be, I'm not a fan of Miles Teller. I do not like him.
Miles Teller.
I loved him in this movie. Like, I could tell you that I honestly think that if he continues in the path he went on with this movie, he could be a great actor. However, as good as he is, no matter how good he was, he cannot outshine J.K. Simmons, who the moment walks on screen, you respect. You don't know why, you don't know what for, but you respect him, and I don't mean the respect out of love, I mean respect out of fear. And that is powerful. He walks on film and you just shut up and you listen. And I'm sorry I keep snapping, but absolutely phenomenal film, and I mean really about passionate and really about just wanting something and doing everything you can. And you know, a lot of people have, you know, made really big controversies about, you know, his methods, because if you've not seen the trailer, J.K. Simmons isn't the "you did a very good job" type mentality.
Throw a book at your face.
Yeah, and you know, and I think that one of my favorite quotes out of this film is J.K. Simmons goes on this really long thing about how pushing people to their limit, you need to push people, and how he thinks the worst words in the English dictionary are "good job," because we continually tell everyone you're doing a good job and making them feel
when they're not
pushing themselves to the limit they can. Now, if you believe that is true or how he teaches is right, it's a different story. But that speech spoke to me, and though I don't necessarily agree with his method either, I think it really says something powerful about us, and one of the greatest heart-pounding finales I think I've ever seen. Satisfying, I mean, just wow. And you sit back, and I happen to be a jazz fan. People I know who don't love jazz walked in this movie and walked out saying, "Hey, Jake, let me borrow this in the CD because I really want to start listening to this person." And I'm just like, you have no idea that. And I hope, unfortunately, I don't think it's in a lot of theaters anymore. I think it's kind of in that tradition where you won't be able to watch it. But if it is, watch it in a theater, because it's constantly just, you know, and then the sound and everything is just amazing. Great film. I highly recommend it. Go out of your way.
Will J.K. Simmons be nominated?
I think J.K. Simmons will not only be nominated, I would argue that I believe he deserves to win, and I'm pretty sure he will win. If he doesn't win, I'll be outraged.
No, everyone is saying that it's awesome, and I think I'm gonna love the movie too.
I think you will, because I know you're a passionate person, and I've seen how you talk about things and how you address things that you're passionate about, and you understand that this kid will stop at nothing. And though at times, you know, it kind of has an interesting bout of when, you know, you're so passionate about something that it could be destructive, or you know, you're so passionate and desiring to being remembered and to being the best at something, where it could affect everyone around you. And is that more important than the people that you love, or family, or friends? And it really gets into that kind of thought process. But I mean, if you really love something and you really love it and you want to be the best at it, if you want to be the best drummer, you want to be the best guitar player, you want to be the best writer, no matter what it is, that passion, which unfortunately I feel like a lot of people tend to just kind of let go of, where this character doesn't. And I mean, the passion he brings, and this teacher that they meet, one of the best chemistries between characters I've ever seen on film. I mean, wow. I mean, the understanding to the normal person watching this movie saying, why would he even bother talking to him? They just get it. And they don't have to like each other, they just have to understand each other, and that's incredible. Absolutely phenomenal film.
Go to IGN.com and put it in a Whiplash. There's a scene, 30-second clip, where Miles Teller's already on the drum set. J.K. Simmons walks in, takes his coat off, puts it there, and says, "Did I tell you to stop playing?" He's like, and then he starts playing. He's like, "Did I even tell you to start playing?" And then
that's the opening scene of the film.
Oh, okay.
That's the very opening.
And so people watch that scene and say, "That's crazy." Now, I'm not here to. I know this isn't the same, but I want to share this story. When I was in marching band, I was in drumline, first chair, by the way, snare.
That's nice.
I remember during, you know how summer break in Vegas anyways is 3 months.
Yeah.
2 months before summer vacation is over, we were on the field from 6 a.m. or I'm sorry, 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Out 2 hours for lunch. Then we were back on the field from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. We did that Monday through Friday every single day. And then if we messed up, you're doing push-ups. If you did this, you're running around the lap. And then during school, we were there for 2 hours every day. And then after school, on every Wednesday, we did an hour. So it's like hours and hours and hours, and people are screaming at us, and our drum major's like, you're out of sync or da da da. And so when that movie gets me so jacked up to see this, I cannot wait,
And I think you'll love it because there's a really great scene in the film where he's playing with his band, who's like one of the top-notch bands, and he's in this thing, and he goes, someone's out of tune. And he goes, who's out of tune? And he's yelling, you know,
J.K. Simmons?
Yeah, he's yelling, who's out of tune? And no one says anything. He goes, I don't care if you're out of tune, but it scares me the fact that you might not know you're out of tune. And like that whole thing, and I mean, I've always I think it's awesome that you played an instrument, because the one thing I've wanted to do my entire life that, you know, is one of the things where it's like, why haven't I done that yet, is play an instrument. And besides the recorder in 4th grade, but I want to play an instrument. And if anything encouraged me to play an instrument, it's this movie. So absolutely great film, go see it.
That's your number 4. All right, we doing a recap?
We could wait for the number 1 before the number 1.
My number 3 film of the year 2014 with Sahara Coins. X-Men Days of Future Past made it to top 3, believe it or not. And I'm gonna tell you why. The movie was awesome. I loved the visuals of Blink. That was fun. But what just did it over the top for me, and I know this is gonna be very stupid, but it's just an answer that this could happen. That last 5 minutes just took me from this movie's awesome to, yep, in love with the movie. That last 5 minutes of Days of Future Past, if you haven't seen it, when you watch it, you'll finally understand. X-Men 1. A lot of people say, you know, these comic book movies, it all started with, potentially people say Spider-Man, people sometimes just say, they forget everything, they just say it started with Batman Begins, which I love Batman, but it didn't.
Started with Blade.
It started with Blade, and if you don't want to even consider Blade, you have to at least say X-Men is where it started. Bryan Singer, the sexual abuser. No, I'm kidding. He was. Who knows that? Okay, sorry. So X-Men 1, X-Men 2, and then X-Men 3, when Singer left to do Superman Returns, which was not good. Sorry. When he left, and then Brett Ratner took over, and he killed Professor X in the first half of the film. You should have saw me, bro. I was the kid Saturday morning cartoons watching X-Men animated series, and you kill Professor X in the first half of the film, and he's not coming back. I was pissed. And then we came out with The Wolverine with Ryan Reynolds.
Wolverine Origins.
Yeah. Where like the X-Men was just not good. And then the First Class came out, that was good.
Yes.
And then Days of Future Past just whoosh. And then the last 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes of film, they basically said, haha, just kidding about all that. It's all, this is now the continuing. And the way they did it was so sexy. And then the part about X-Men Days of Future Past, before it came out, Quicksilver looked horrendous. He looked like an embarrassment. He looked like, are you joking? And then Carl's Jr., depending on where you live, Hardee's, came out with a commercial where Quicksilver's eating a burger, and it's like, this is gonna embarrass X-Men. This is horrible. And then that scene with Quicksilver stole the entire movie.
Yeah.
That last
one of my favorite scenes in the entire year.
That two things: the last 5 minutes of X-Men: Days of Future Past, and that Quicksilver scene. It like that's all you need to see, and you're gonna agree with me. Oh my gosh, this movie is awesome!
I absolutely love this movie too. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great revival for the X-Men franchise. Jennifer, and a lot of that is due to the cast. Jennifer Lawrence, Michael Fassbender. Great film. Was on my top 5 in June, but unfortunately, kind of the fall off. To go back to. But I absolutely love that movie.
But it was
that's a movie that I will buy and will watch again. Great movie. I recommend that.
Just like Ken buying movies.
Yeah.
You're on number 3, my man.
Number 3 is what I think is one of the greatest love stories of our time, and that is The Theory of Everything.
I haven't seen this either. Oh, man. I haven't seen these amazing movies.
You got to. Theory of Everything was strongly impactful, and I was lucky enough to watch it with my girlfriend, and that made the film, I think, even more beautiful. Not only is a biopic about a true man who does something really amazing. It's kind of generic formula for Oscar fame, let's make a true story. Let's put the guy in makeup. Let's have him have a physical change, and you know, chances are you'll get nominated. This movie, I mean, we see it, Foxcatcher, Imitation Game, you know, Theory of Everything, it's the formula, and it tends to really be what it's about, Selma. But Theory of Everything, I just thought was one of the greatest love stories of our time, and not in the sense that boyfriend-girlfriend love, not marriage love, but a love that two human beings can have, the respect and love and care for one another, I think just absolutely blew me away. I want to say two of the greatest performances of the year by Felicity Jones and Eddie Redmayne, who won last night for best actor, and I honestly hope that he wins Best Actor at the Academy Awards because of how great he.
J.K. Simmons will be for
supporting, which a lot of people
is that
argue.
even true? You know how they always do that crap? Is that even true that he's supporting?
I mean, you could argue he's supporting.
So they're saying that Miles Teller is that main actor?
Yeah.
Okay.
So JK's in the supporting race, which isn't as nearly, because I honestly feel like if you put him in the lead, he wouldn't have even been nominated, which he obviously deserves. But to go back to everything, I mean, just an amazing film, amazing story that will inspire you and move you, and it just really kind of opened my eyes to just how much you could love another human being without being their husband or their wife, or their wife or a somewhat relation. Just loving a stranger and caring them enough to literally dedicate your life to them, and absolutely impactful. I think it was a well-directed film. But I mean, the movie weighs on the shoulders of the performances, and they are the best performances of the year. Or if not, I mean, I say that, but then I'm like, well, there's this and this, but I mean, easily one of the best performances of the year. I think this movie it is not left, you know, my mind and my thought when people ask me what my favorite movies are, what movie I should go see. Theory of Everything was absolutely great. One of the best biopics I've ever seen, and easily just an amazing film. I mean, it's hard to explain without really getting into spoilers, but the connection, the chemistry that they shared. And there's a really beautiful scene when Stephen Hawking discovers that he has developed a disease, and he's just starting to date who would become his wife and his caretaker for the majority of his life. And he ignores her and he shuts her out. And there's a scene where she finally gets to kind of confront him, and he yells, just go, go, go. I don't want to be with you. I don't like you. Just pushing her away. And she just stands there and yells back at him, no. And though it might not sound impactful at all when I say it, when you watch those two characters say it, it literally brought tears to my eyes, just how beautiful and how much you could care for somebody. Absolutely great film. I can't say enough about it. But the performances, and unfortunately,
because it's on my. Have you seen Dragon Bruce Lee story with Jason Scully? Is it like the scene where Bruce Lee's paralyzed and Linda Lee is like trying to help him? He's frustrated. He's like, just leave me. I don't like you.
Yeah.
You're and he's like, no, I'm helping you through it like that.
It's similar. It's similar, but
Obviously.
I think it's.
But it's like
it's
that?
at on a higher level.
That's awesome.
Where you know he accepting the life that he's going to live and trying to be selfless enough to keep her out of that life of taking care of him, not because he wants to be selfish and say, okay, take care of me. He's saying get out, and her selfishly, instead of taking the route of not having to deal with that her entire life, decides to take that on. And you know, I mean, you want to talk about humanity, you want to talk about doing something good for somebody, wow. I mean, powerful stuff. And you know, the whole movie is about finding the simple eloquent equation to define the universe, and that movie gives us the answer, and it's love.
Wait, are we talking about Interstellar now?
No.
Okay, sorry.
No.
Okay, Theory of Everything. Dang it!
Well, you know, I'm glad you brought that up, because in my review, I actually talk about Interstellar, about how this movie talks about love crossing dimensions and time and all that stuff, and it just told me that. Anne Hathaway tells me that in a scene. I didn't feel that. In this movie, you feel that love can do that, and that love can take a sick man and keep him alive and keep him encouraged enough to change the world and to tell us things that, you know, to teach us. As you even quoted him earlier about us as a species and how things are. I mean, that is love, and that's when you feel it. That's the thing is my review is. I would love it so much, but it's hard to describe because it's just a movie that, you know, as they say, it's all in the feels. You just gotta feel it, and I really recommend this movie to everybody.
That's awesome. And he just finished going to the Bunny Ranch.
Huh?
No, that's a true story. That's true. Anyway, moving forward very quickly.
Your number two?
Theory of Everything. Woo.
You don't remember your top two?
I gotta. Well, you know what? This is gonna shock you. My number two. I don't even know if you've seen it.
Okay.
My number two film of year 2014, and no, I'm not kidding. Begin Again.
Okay.
With Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley. Have you seen it?
I've not.
Okay. I was in the marching band, concert band. I was in concert band for 9 years of my life. I was in marching band for 5 years of my life, 6, 7 years of my life. So I love music.
Drummer in both?
Always a snare line in a pit, which is percussion. This movie is about a singer. And for me, this movie was so good. How good? I've seen it like 8 times. I can't stop watching it.
I saw 8 times.
I can't stop watching Begin Again.
I saw your vlog and I watched you talk about it.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, there you go. Oh, and then your freaking Tusk, bro, is like, I text you that day.
Yeah.
I text you.
It's a different conversation. Yeah.
Tusk is the most disturbing film
Tusk
of my
is
life.
an honorable mention.
No, not for me. It is disturbing. Anyway, okay, Keira Knightley and Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo, I loved his. For me, this is how I saw it. You're on top, and then when you get lazy, you slip down, and it's harder to get back up. Keira Knightley, boyfriend, on top, breaks up with her, cheats on her, breaks up with her, and then she needs to have that confidence in herself to bring her up. And for me, I just love inspiration. I love these movies where people are winning. I love the idea of you're going from the bottom now to the top. Drake, I love the idea that I love that.
Did you say Drake? I know the song, but okay. I want to make sure I heard you right.
So I love movies like that already, and then you throw in Keira Knightley in there, and then you throw in Mark Ruffalo, who was in we talked about Foxcatcher. Didn't make my top 10, but
a wonderful performance.
It was awesome. It didn't even look like him because his hair
line.
Yeah. God. Anyway, it's disgusting. Sorry.
Bad, yeah.
Anyway.
Well, bad in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, Mark Ruffalo, the Hulk, awesome. Keira Knightley, I'm in love with. Awesome. And then this was her singing debut also. I have all the entire soundtrack on here. Yeah. That's how much
playing it out.
Yeah, that's how much I love this movie. It was so good for me, and the movie just wasn't the ending where those two didn't even get together or anything like that. It wasn't even supposed to be like that, but I could have easily saw that as the film, and it didn't do that. And for me, number 2 film, dog, no joke, was Begin Again, dude.
Which I really can't comment on. I'm not gonna knock you. I've heard really good things about that movie. A lot of people enjoy that movie, but I think if it was the music part that really kind of, Keira Knightley was the cherry on top of it. If it was the music, I think Whiplash will probably replace Begin Again once you see it. That's how impactful that movie is.
I can't wait to see Whiplash.
Now this was really tough for me. This was probably one of the hardest decisions I've had to make between my number 2 and my number 1. And I went back and forth, and every day I was back on the paper just like, no, this is it. No, this is it. And as I already mentioned, you throw 1 through 5 and roll the dice. Whatever it is, I'll be happy. But this was a really tough decision to make because I think I have to think about what film I think is best for film in general and what film I love the most. I believe that this next movie I'm going to talk about is probably the more important film for film, in the sense that I think it'll win Best Picture. I think it's the front runner for Best Picture. Anything could happen, but I'm pretty sure this is the movie that I'm going to take. It won Best Picture last night at the Golden Globes, and battling maybe by a centimeter,
or
whatever it may be, to win between 1 and 2. My number 2 film was Boyhood, the film by Richard Linklater, which I think struck me as much as it struck everyone around the world, but to me tenfold, because most people I talk to, most people who are doing what I do are a bit older, and I don't mean that as a knock or anything, but the film that was filmed over 12 years long about a boy's growth, that kid grew up essentially right around the same time I did. So when he's back to being a 6-year-old, I was back to being 6. The music, the references, the toys and stuff that he had. I honestly love this movie because it was more than just watching something. I experienced growing up again. I experienced going through life again and going through someone's choices and realizing, to look back and say, wow, whatever happened to me here in my life is what made me who I am today. And watching it happen, it's a lot more identifiable to you. Absolutely neck and neck with the best film, my number 1, but this is seriously probably neck and neck with the best film of 2014. I'm obviously, a lot of people agree with me, as it is reigning and dominating in awards. Richard Linklater deserves Best Director. I think this movie is an achievement in filmmaking. He's not the first person to kind of follow actors over a long period of time, so I'm not going to say it's revolutionary, but in the sense that nowadays and how long and to have a film produced for that long period of time is outrageous.
I love his acceptance speech when he's like, thank the guy that kept on funding it for 12 years.
And I think Patricia Arquette was phenomenal in the film. Ethan Hawke was great in the movie. Eller Coltrane, the movie that this whole focused on. If you think about that, you take a 6-year-old and you say, I'm going to put you in my movie. And he turns 13 and he's someone who's turns out to be not so charismatic or not interesting or hates movies, and that's a risk. What a gamble that he ends up being a really kind of charismatic, interesting character and someone that you'd want to hang out with. I mean, the just betting on that to me is absolutely phenomenal. But I mean, like I said, I love this movie because it was the experience. It wasn't just a movie that I watched. It gave me a feeling. It gave me an experience that I was able to take away and was really moved by. Nothing felt too Hollywood. Nothing felt over the top. It felt like it was a story that my friend said, well, this is what happened to me in my life. You know, what about you? And I bought everything that happened in this movie. Some things are a little bit kind of, I don't want to say over the top, but some things are a little bit more light than they probably should be, but nothing feels like, oh, and then this happened, and then this happened, you know. It just felt like drama being slammed on him. Everyone was really wonderful. Everyone's heart was in this movie. It was a really, really great picture. I believe it'll probably win Best Picture 2014, which it well deserves. Absolutely phenomenal. I recommend anyone to go see this movie. It is quite long, but it is totally worth the journey.
How long is it?
It's 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Did they film, 1 week out of the year, every year for 12 years? Is that what it was?
I don't know exactly if it's that.
Okay.
But I know, it was over a period of 12 years. There was constant arguing for funding and things like that. I don't know how much per time it was exactly, but I know there's a huge book about the film. There's people are making, I believe there's a short documentary on the Blu-ray about the making of it and just the extent of it. I've heard an amazing interview with Patricia Arquette about her experience in it and how those kids have essentially become her children.
Well, yeah.
I mean, and it's amazing. And to sit back and watch that and to watch someone grow up, it's an absolute mind-blowing experience because we grow up, we see it, we know it, but it's never like watching it all together. And I think putting someone in that time frame is one of the best experiences you'll ever have in a theater.
Wow. Yeah, everyone's saying that the movie is phenomenal, and I want to see how phenomenal it is. So,
but if that was that phenomenal, just wait till you get to my number 1.
All right, so we're almost at number 1.
Yes.
Let's start all the way to
recap.
number 10 and do a recap. I'll do first.
You first.
Number 10, How to Train Your Dragon 2. Number 9, Number 10, How to Train Your Dragon 2. Number 9, Nightcrawler. Oh, that was so good. Number 8, John Wick. That was good. Number 7, Imitation Game. Awesome. Number 6, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Number 5, Gone Girl. Number 4, another Marvel movie, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 3, X-Men: Days of Future Past, technically a Marvel movie. Number 2, out of nowhere came right there, Begin Again. Recap.
And honestly, as of right now, I don't know what your number 1 is. I can't think about it. Like, I'm sure that I could figure it out if you give me a minute, but right now I'm really excited to hear your number 1 is. My number 10 was...
Yeah, I don't know your number 1.
Count how many we have in common right now.
Okay.
Okay, because I was trying to, but I lost my place. Number 10 was Foxcatcher. Number 9 was How to Train Your Dragon 2. Number 8 was Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Number 7 was Gone Girl. Number 6 was Selma. Number 5 was The Babadook. Number 4 was Whiplash. And number 3 was Theory of Everything. And number 2 was Boyhood.
We have 2.
Okay.
But I have a feeling if I would have saw Whiplash, I really wanted to see Whiplash. Boyhood flew under my radar.
Babadook.
I mean, I've heard about it.
I think you do Babadook
I want to see
too.
Babadook too. Anyway.
James' number 1 film of 2014.
I think this will be a little bit of a surprise. And I don't care.
I'm nervous.
Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow.
Wow.
I really thought about all these movies, right? And I looked at it, I was like, you know what? That movie was just so entertaining for me. Groundhog's Day with sci-fi with Tom Cruise. Number 1, Tom Cruise is always going to be he's always going to be in BA. I don't care what anyone says. Tom Cruise is always going to be Tom Cruise. He's awesome.
Great.
He's absolutely fantastic. You throw on Emily Blunt, that accent, that face, that everything. That's a winner. She was originally supposed to be Black Widow. She was offered Black Widow before Scarlett Jo. Anyway, and then the premise, this guy is over, and I love the comedy parts where he messes up or he gets run over by the wheel and he starts his day over again. God, that must have been so frustrating. And yeah, that movie, the ending, even I'll admit, the ending was just like, did that really make sense? And you know, none of that mattered to me because that movie was just so entertaining that, yeah, I would not say that was my. And remember, and then you said it the best. This isn't like what's best for film. This is just my personal opinion, what I found entertaining, and that's how I look at film. Just what entertained me, what did I learn from it, and what did it for me. And I love it because my message behind, because that's how I watch films. I always see, you know, what am I supposed to learn from this? And from that, it's like we aren't in Groundhog's Day in real life technically, or you can look at it, we are. Every morning we wake up, it's a brand new day, and you have another day to do the best ending again. And that's how I really look at it. Every day is like Groundhog's Day for us, where we have every day to do our best every single day, and you can do certain decisions and you're gonna get run over by a car. You can do certain decisions and this is gonna happen. Or how I really saw it for me was every single day we can go out there and we can do our best, we can be our best, be good people, make money for yourself, spoil the people you love, and go out there and just be happy with what you are and what you're doing. And that's how I saw Edge of Tomorrow, as this guy who's in this constant struggle over and over. And I loved it too because he was a marketing guy. At the beginning of the movie, he's a marketing guy. And then he went to war, learned how to go to war, and then he's like, holy crap, he did it. And then I loved it again at the end. They didn't just fall in love and get together, you know, even though it seemed like they might have because of, you know, if you saw the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But at the end of the movie, again, she has still that same attitude. So I something on my face, and I love that. I love that of the movie. I love it, loved it. And that one's based on a comic anime, or a manga, I'm sorry, it was based on a manga. And yeah, man. Edge of Tomorrow was my favorite.
Really
film
quick, before I get into my thoughts about that film, me and Ken were talking about actually our lovely cameraman who is being a champion right now.
Hour and a half in.
Do you like Edge of Tomorrow or Live, Die, Repeat better as a title?
Live, Die, Repeat, stupid.
Really?
Yeah, because, okay, you know why though? I'm gonna say that.
I like that title better.
I grew up. I like the original title of the movie, which was, holy crap. The original title of Edge of Tomorrow was, I have to Google it. But okay, so there's.
Well, while you're Googling it.
Yeah, there's Edge of Tomorrow, then there's Live, Die, Repeat. Live, Die, Repeat makes sense, but it's like you already called it Edge of Tomorrow, and Edge of Tomorrow makes sense because he's always on the edge, right on the edge. That makes sense to me, but I'm gonna say I like it better because that's how it was introduced to us. The movie was called Edge of Tomorrow. Now it's called Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow. That's why I opened it with that. And it's stupid. It's like, okay, the title of the movie was already Edge of Tomorrow. You don't need to change it for the Blu-ray cover.
All right, but if it wasn't changed later, would you still have gone with Live, Edge of Tomorrow?
I can't even lie. I can't give you an honest answer because I don't know.
I like Live, Die, Repeat a little bit better as a title. But as he's looking up the original title, I just want to say I really love that movie too. It was in my honorable mentions. I actually don't disagree with James on any sense of that level. I think it was fun. I thought it was one of the best times I had in theater. I love the fact that it never felt repetitive. A movie that we're watching the same thing over and over never felt repetitive. And I love it because we're showing these scenes that characters are reliving, and they all are always shot different.
Yes.
It's always shot different, which I really, really appreciated.
All You Need Is Kill. That is the title it should have been called.
No.
Yes, All You Need Is Kill.
I like it, but I don't like it as much as Live Free or Die Hard. Great movie. Tom Cruise is a BA. This movie and Jack Reacher just still attends the fact.
Jack Reacher, man,
what a
it's
great
awesome.
Movie. Where's my sequel?
Pike.
Where's my sequel to that movie?
You could make 10 movies of them.
But great performance, great fun that movie was. You know, some good performances, solid fun, great sci-fi film again. I love that sci-fi has come back with a vengeance. And that was a great example of it. It was my honorable mention, but unfortunately did not make my list. But it was going to be a movie I wanted to talk about.
Tell me Emily Blunt is going to be Miss Marvel. Tell me that. I would love that. Sorry. Come on.
Maybe. We'll see.
Shoot, give me Supergirl.
So your number one film again is
Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow. Man, I enjoyed that movie.
Do you own it? Did you buy it? I bought it.
It's so much fun.
I bought it. I've been watching it. I want to rewatch it.
Fun.
I haven't reopened it, but I can't wait.
And it's so much fun. I don't even know your number one.
Really?
I'm sure once you say it, I'm gonna. Oh yeah, because I can't think of other movies you haven't said.
Well, like I said, after a lot of constant back and forth, I lost sleep over this.
The hard decisions in life.
Yeah, seriously. Well, maybe not for you, but for me, this is what my life revolves around. Is making of these choices, and as a total count, we've had 3 films that we shared in common on our lists. How to Train Your Dragon 2, Gone Girl, and my number one film of the year, Nightcrawler.
Oh, yes.
As I mentioned earlier, and I tried not to talk about it when you were bringing it up, the most thought-provoking film I've seen all year. And the reason why, the one reason why I said, okay, this is my number one, is because I've seen every movie that we've seen and talked about and I've loved. But there's one character, one movie, his actions, his choices that sit right here every day. And I'm thinking about it all the time. Everyone says, what movie should I go see? Nightcrawler. What was your favorite movie of the year? Nightcrawler. That movie has not left my mindset since I saw it.
Since October.
Yeah, for how many months ago, when we've seen all these great films. The fact that it's the first one that comes to my mind when people ask me about the year, and I still think about Jake Gyllenhaal breaking that mirror and screaming into it, and his manipulation and the things that movie made me think about and feel, blew me away. And I loved it. It's Jake Gyllenhaal. It's my probably neck and neck with Eddie Redmayne's. I think Eddie Redmayne's deserves the Oscar a bit more than Jake Gyllenhaal's, but I think Jake Gyllenhaal embodiment of that character gives him the best career of his performance, or best performance of his career. Rene Russo, their interactions, their chemistry, their conversations, the one that we alluded to earlier. I mean, absolutely mind-blowing and mind-boggling stuff. The themes that this movie set, look at us, look at how we treat journalism and media and how our society looks about things. How, that movie, as we talked about earlier, is so, to some may seem exaggerated and fictional, but might not be as foreign as they think and might not be as unrealistic. Again, I really recommend you go back and watch our review of Saw and Nightcrawler because we had a really great discussion about that movie because, you as a businessman took it one way. And just as someone, as a human being in this society, that movie spoke volumes to me about us as a people, about him as a character. I mean, breaking the fourth wall, which is something that a lot of movies are trying to nonetheless do nowadays, and none of them do it with such intensity as this movie, because most time characters are talking to you, it's funny. Louis Bloom turns to you and looks at you, you're like, oh my god. You're nervous the fact that he's made eye contact with you and he's spotted you out. I mean, with a performance like that, with a story like that, with a character like that, who I would argue is essentially our Travis Bickle, our taxi driver of just, crossing that edge to be who you want. I mean, I can't describe how much I love that movie. And unfortunately, Samantha hasn't seen it. And, she's obviously someone that I talk to. And I keep up at night because I'm like, babe, what do I do? And she loved Boyhood. She couldn't believe that I loved a movie more than Boyhood. But I was like, this movie has not left my mind. I'm constantly thinking about Louis Bloom. And, I mean, I watched that movie and I thought it was, at that point, scariest movie of the year until I saw Babadook, but it really did
Different
scare me. Yeah, it freaked me out. I mean, I was haunted and yet interested. People always say, oh, in horror movies, they always do something stupid. They're always investigating strange noises. That's a person that I know is dangerous, but I wanted to learn more. And to create a character like that in a moment like that, I think it absolutely deserves to be my number one spot on my 2014 list. Nightcrawler easily just won me over. I can't even explain how great that movie was. I loved it, you loved it. I'm surprised there's such a difference in our gap, but I understand. And I mean, I could not recommend this movie more. Absolutely phenomenal. Wow, Nightcrawler. I can't wait till that movie comes out on Blu-ray in February just so I can watch it again and again and again.
Nightcrawler was fabulous.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It was my favorite film of the year. I can't deny it. And I argued back and forth, but Boyhood I loved, it was experience, but I'm not thinking of Elder Coltrane, I'm thinking of Lou Bloom, and I'm thinking about, his mindset and in that conversation to approach somebody and be so blunt to saying, well, I want this, so I'm gonna have to do what it takes, and to really do what it takes. I mean, it's a mind-blowing experience. It's a thriller like you've never seen. It's one of the best thrillers I think have ever been made. I think it's one of the scariest movies I've seen recently, and I also think it's one of the most, again, thought-provoking provoking. When a movie makes you think and makes you question and wonder, and that's what's important. And I think this movie does it better than any other film this year.
I love it. You know, and what a great year we had, no?
Amazing. It started off so bumpy, and like I said earlier, this was a year that not only reminded me why I want to be a film critic, reminded me why I'm a film lover, because they have so much to say, there's so much to experience, and it just made me so excited for 2015. So, I mean, absolutely amazing.
You know, that's what you talk about what it's taking, like these movies that are coming out, Whiplash, Nightcrawler, and then I'm excited. This isn't a commercial for this Thursday, yet it is, I guess. That's why I'm so excited for Black Cat, because that crap is going on right now. You know, the biggest one you could probably just say is all the hacks, but most recently the Sony hack.
Yeah.
You know, this is a real life situation, and I was watching a featurette where they were talking about Michael Mann and Chris Hemsworth and the Taiwanese chick, or Chinese chick. I don't know if she's Taiwanese, but she speaks Mandarin. Anyway, they were talking about how they did all this research and stuff. So yeah, I just love film, man, for what it's like. You watch these films, they're not just stupid little thingies that a lot of people think. I assume because the average moviegoer only watches like 3 movies a year in the theater. You know that?
Yeah.
I mean, also, it's like
I have people in my family, people that I'm jamming down their throat to go see movies. I haven't seen a movie in theater since Titanic.
my favorite movie of the year, or of all time.
But I mean, like, that was in what? In the
97.
97, right? Oh my God. It's almost a decade. Like, get your ass to the theater. I mean, and that's what I'm saying, though, is that constant question I get, and I get it from a lot of people, and a lot, it tends to be older people, of course, but why do movies aren't just as good? I say go see any of the films that we mentioned and tell me movie's not good. Tell me that film isn't strong right now because they're out of their mind. Maybe they're not, maybe not so much it's what they're expecting out of movies, but if you're not watching Selma or Nightcrawler or Live, Die, Repeat, and you're not saying, wow, that movie was awesome, there was something amazing in that movie, then you're not really paying attention. I think 2014 was one of the most awesome years also because there's not clear dominance, where 12 Years a Slave, there were some good movies last year, 2013, but
that's all they talk about.
None of them were as good as 12 Years a Slave. None of them were fighting that, which is, I understand, because 12 Years a Slave is, I don't want to get me started on that, but an absolutely amazing film. Argo the year before. There was Django and Les Mis, but nothing like, wow. I've never had a top 5 where I say mix them up, I'll be happy. Never had that happen to me. And for that movie to be this year, because when I first saw it, when this movie year first started, I was like, oh God. We're starting off with Ride Again and movies like this. I'm like, oh Jesus, what's going to happen? And boom.
It's funny you mentioned that. When I was looking at the movies, I also went to your channel and just started from the bottom of 2014 January, and just went up. I was like, okay, that's right.
And then that was the thing too. I watched a lot of our video reviews. So
God, we did a lot of
if any of these movies really sparked interest for you, most of them we did do a video review for. So go and check that out because we probably talk about even more in depth. But
what we didn't mention? If you just want to read them all, go to his freaking site, chasecinema.com, the Film Lovers website. You can always do that, yeah. Yeah, I can't believe we keep on. Okay.
My biggest regret of the year, though, is I didn't write Nightcrawler review. So, but since
Louis Vuitton, what did he give it?
He gave it a 4. Well, actually, he gave it a 3.5. But he rewatched it again in theaters, and that was also his #1 film of the year.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. So now I'm sure it's a 4 for him.
Yeah. His list was really interesting. Me and Louis are members of the Nevada Film Critics Society. Our lists are published on their website. You can go to nevadafilmcriticsociety.org to see what our lists are, to read about what we're talking about.
Is it under your names or Chasing Cinema?
Yeah, well, it's actually under the Nevada Film Critics Society. It tells us, it goes by names. There are a lot of other critics, so you might have to scroll down a little bit.
Jake Toronto?
Yeah.
Louis Corzolo
and Jacob Toronto.
Not chasing Louis.
And and also for all my rebels out there, anyone who really goes to
University of Never Leaving Vegas.
Yeah. Yes, UNLVRebelYell.com. My top 10 will be posted the first week of the semester, which is, I believe, in a week and a half or so. So check it out there. Or, of course, on ChasingCinema.com. Me and Louis are going to be doing the Chasing Cinema Choice Awards, where we give out our awards who we feel deserve the awards and all that stuff. We do a lot of fun categories: best chemistry, best fight, best cry, best laugh. A lot of other fun stuff: best trailer, worst film. Which that surprisingly also had a really, really good category because there was a lot of bad movies this year. So go make sure to check that out. That's on our podcast. We do all that.
Do you know your worst already?
You know,
I know Transformers 4 has to be in
Transformers 4 is on there, but there's one film that I think is worse than Transformers 4. But you know, I haven't really sat down and compiled the list like I would like to, but I can tell you what I probably think it is, just to give you a little taste of what it is, but you can guess what it is, can't you?
there. I don't know yet.
Really? Think about it.
Just 'cause I can't think of anything.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No way.
Yeah.
That was not as bad as
That movie, remember I
No, it
told
was
you,
not.
that movie was not bad, it was offensive to me.
No, it wasn't. That's because you're still stuck on your nostalgia.
That's because you're in love with Megan Fox.
Why do you have to throw a woman's name in there?
Because that's all you said. Watch our reviews around that time frame. Every review ended with Megan Fox and me and you going about it.
God,
But you never know. Let me. Well, see, maybe that's what it is.
Hey,
But
did
you'll
you
have to
see the
tune in.
concept art for Rocksteady Bebop?
No.
Oh, that looks awesome.
I don't know.
Sorry.
I've been, you know, just getting back in the groove of things. I've been really concentrating on this.
That movie did well too.
Yeah.
Yeah, 400 million worldwide. Yeah, they're getting a sequel. Yeah, TMNT 2 is coming.
Yeah, I
and
know.
Then give me some more Megan Fox.
And I'll be hiding. Don't worry.
Megan Fox.
I wish I could find a sewer to live in when that movie comes out. This week is the release of the Academy Award nominations. It's supposedly being on the 15th. So when
Why do
everyone
you say
wakes up,
supposedly?
well, because anything could happen. You know.
Oh, 15th at like 6 a.m., isn't it?
Yeah, it's really
It's something
early.
really
So when you
early.
wake up, they'll be out.
Obnoxiously early.
They'll be
I
out.
never even wake up because I hate
And then
how...
me and Louie will be doing the predictions. We'll cover the Academy Awards, then we'll do the Chasing Cinema Choice Awards. Great, great fun. Tune into our podcast. You can find that on iTunes by just searching Chasing Cinema, clicking subscribe. Each week it comes to your iPod, iPhone, iTunes, all that you're doing anything. You can watch it on our YouTube channel, where you can also watch this video and many other of our video reviews.
And also, something that a lot of people don't know, for the Oscars, make sure you follow him during the Oscars to see live tweets. And I'm not talking about just any live tweeting, I'm talking about, I follow, you know, a lot of movie people that I like, and Chasing Cinema, right as soon as they announce the winner, bam, photo, everything ready to go. Be sure to follow on Twitter at Chasing Cinema, or Facebook Chasing Cinema, on Facebook or Twitter, but on Twitter specifically, right when it's there, bam, it's right there. He's following it.
Yeah, we just covered the Golden Globes yesterday.
Yeah, it was phenomenal coverage.
Go check it out yesterday, you know, because then me and Louie get a few fun wits and comments in there if we can. But usually we're just so busy. But I mean, it's fun. I love this time. It's Christmas to me with the awards and everything like that. But I mean, I'm glad
Now
that
the Oscars.
I'm glad we're kind of, as great as the year it was, I'm kind of glad we're getting to put it away as soon as the Oscars are over, because then we just get to dive into another year, and I hope it's as strong. I hope this year, you know, puts 2014 in its place.
Well,
I'm hoping.
Hey, 2015 though, blockbuster-wise, huge. Blockbuster-wise, I don't know, you know, because
I think
Transformers 4 was
it's
a
going to be a
big
pretty
blockbuster.
incredible year.
And we get a Star Wars film this year, and then this, right as soon as Star Wars comes out,
350 days, 340 days.
yeah, from today, never again will we ever not have a Star Wars film, if you think about it. Unless people hate Star Wars, which I can't see happening at least while I'm alive, literally for the next 50 years, we're probably gonna have a Star Wars film every year from this point on.
Star Wars 50.
Star
Me
Wars
and James will be
spin-off, Star
here.
Wars spin-off, Star
Or
Wars.
somewhere.
It's gonna be crazy, and
All
we're
right,
excited
well,
about it.
To finally wrap up this year, I also want to thank you and Kent and everyone at NPM, VSM, all the great things you guys do, and helping me with all these videos and stuff like that. I would like no one else to argue with me and, you know, disagree with me in our video reviews, and also agree with me, as this year we weren't really far off.
No,
you know?
we weren't, actually.
When we started, we never saw the same thing, and this year a lot of people commented even on our videos. You guys aren't really disagreeing as much as you used to, but I also think that was because out of this year I gave my least 0.5 reviews, my low reviews, and I've never given so many high reviews. I've never given so many 4 out of 4 stars either. So it's been a really
October and
awesome year. Yeah. So after we get that, well, we'll see. January and February.
Oh, I
will
saw
be
Into the Woods real quick.
Yeah.
And gosh, why did they just cut out that last 30 minutes?
Right?
That the fairy tale ending ended right there. You
Yeah.
don't need the whole last 30 minutes.
Tell me that it was and I don't mean to be vicious either, but I said yesterday, I don't understand, besides the fact that it was just because, how that movie earned any nominations.
Meryl Streep.
Besides Meryl Streep. But even Meryl Streep didn't even deserve that, really.
I brought my mom to see that movie, right? So
Yeah.
we're enjoying it. I got her popcorn, I got her a drink, you know, the stuff that she never does.
Yeah.
And as soon as the fairy tale ended, she's like, "Is it over?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, it should be." And nope.
Nope.
The 30 minutes.
And then it just totally goes out of nowhere.
Yeah. If
It's
they
not-
would have cut that last 30, It would have been good.
And the thing is that the play supposedly gives them equal amount of time. So that would have probably helped because everything happens off screen. Oh, this person, choked it, and I found this, and this person died. Just all off screen. None of the characters are making sense. We have this whole movie, spoiler alert, who is trying to have a child with his wife, and when she dies, he sings. He doesn't cry or break down. What is going on? And then
I couldn't even believe it because when they said that Emily Blunt died, I was like, no, it's gonna be like the wolf. When the wolf ate the Red Riding Hood and Grandma, they killed him, came back. I was like, no, it's nothing more. Nope.
Gone. And the fact, and to me, the fact that she even was thinking about cheating on, it just didn't make sense.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
Like none of it made sense to me. You introduce these characters and then you immediately change them in those last 30 minutes, and it doesn't make sense.
When you gave the review, I was with you. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And then after I watched it and I watched the review, I said, yeah, he is making that. It didn't make sense.
I didn't understand what they were doing.
Unless the play was like that.
Well, I hear the play's like that, but it's half of the time. So it wasn't just the last 30 minutes where everything just felt kind of thrown in there and random. It's half the play, which most plays are, if you include intermission, are around 3.5 hours. That's, that's a good time frame to tell a story. It's an hour and 30 minutes, or, an hour and 15 minutes per side, hour and 30 per side, and you get a lot more to it in understanding. And, it just made me want to see the play version to see if I really disagree with it, because a lot of people who were in theater thought I was nuts by just saying I couldn't stand it. But yeah, I was not a fan of that movie.
Supposedly, December 2016, we're supposed to get Wicked.
Wicked will be fun.
Yeah.
Even though Oz tried to do Wicked in a sense, not really, but I think Wicked could be really, really great. I don't know if I have any theater lovers out, who listen to me or very much, but maybe if you're an artistic type. The Smith Center is having a very, very small run of Reanimator the Musical, which I was able to see. It's not in Red Hills Hall, which most things in Smith Centers are. The Smith Center is an area, not so much just a stage. Red Hills Hall is the main theater. I actually went to a theater that probably fit about 100 people to see this Reanimator starring George Wendt from Cheers. And you want to talk about fun? Go see that. Go look it up, Reanimator Musical. It's about a scientist who finds out that he could reanimate dead tissue. So he obviously brings people back to life. There's splash zones where you can get blood thrown on you. Just a really good fun time, and it's cheesy, it's great. I really, really recommend that. My review of that will be coming out too on Chasing Cinema in the Rebel Yell. So
we'll be back in 48 hours. ChasingCinema.com. Black Hat premiere, the film lovers website.
Yes, thank you.